Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into the latest video. Today, as I promised at the end of my last video, I am actually going to be giving out my top 5 favorite offenses entering the 2023 season. Now, when I broke down all 32 offenses and I came down with my top 5 to kind of give some insight before I dive into these teams, I factored in obviously the quarterback position, but not only their starter, but I also factored in their backup. If something were to happen with their starting quarterback where they maybe had to play 2 or 3 games, could I see that quarterback winning them games? Then obviously I did factor in the quality of talent at the running back, wide receiver, and tight end position. And not only the quality of talent, but the depth that they have at those position groups, and just like the quarterback, if something were to happen to those top echelon guys on their roster, could those guys at least be productive until the starters were able to come back from injury? And then of course you do have to factor in the offensive line, because just like most offenses in the league, your offense is only going to go as far as your offensive line will take you. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into my top 5 favorite offenses entering the season. My number 5 offense, I am going to go with the New York Jets. I do think obviously the addition of Aaron Rodgers is going to do wonders for this offense. His experience in the league is going to get these young guys up to speed in the offense. And then I know Zach Wilson hasn't shown much in the NFL, but I mean, it does look like, based on these preseason performances and what we've seen from Hard Knocks, Aaron Rodgers' tutelage for him has helped him at least kind of, I wouldn't say get back on track, but heading into the right direction for his career, where maybe he could do something if Rodgers hadn't missed any time. Now, as far as the rest of the offense, I love what they have at running back depth. They got Brees Hall and Dalvin Cook alone, right? Though those two guys are home run hitters from the running back position. Michael Carter is a very solid running back 3, when honestly he should be a running back 2 on the depth chart. Then they got Bam Knight, who showed some good things, and they have the rookie Izzy. I'm probably gonna butcher his name, but Abani Kanda, who's flashed some throughout this preseason. It's going to be interesting to see who is actually stuck on the roster come cutdown day. They're going to have to decide if they're going to want to carry 5 running backs. I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe try to find a trade partner for maybe a Michael Carter, but that also does depend on Brees Hall's health. And when they think he can be back. The wide receiver, obviously they got Garrett Wilson, you got to love that, Alan Lazard, and then they got McCole Hardman and Randall Cobb. Now, I would probably maybe would have ranked them a little higher if Corey Davis didn't retire yesterday, but I also want to be surprised if they do go acquire a veteran wide receiver following the cut down days, and maybe at some point in the season, because Aaron Rodgers did open up all that cap space. Now, like the depth they have at tight end with Tyler Conklin, CJ Uzomah, and Jeremy Ruckert. I liked Ruckert entering last year. He just didn't really have a lot of playing time because of the veterans in Uzomah and Conklin. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of 12 personnel with the Jets offense, where they have Tyler Conklin, CJ Uzomah, and Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazard out there on the field throughout the season. Now, there is questions right now surrounding their offensive line that's been talked about over the last couple weeks, but I think they got enough quality pieces where they can figure this thing out. Dwayne Brown's a veteran left tackle. He just got off the PUP list. Connor McGovern's a very solid center. Elijah Vera Tucker is an up-and-coming guard in this NFL, and he's got the versatility to play throughout the offensive line. And then Mekhi Becton, it looks like he's kind of getting his career back on track. He's going to be their right tackle. I think if that group can stay healthy, they can figure things out and give Aaron Rodgers enough time to dice up defenses. Moving into my 4th favorite offense, heading into the season, I really like the potential of what this Ravens offense can be underneath the new offensive coordinator in Todd Monken. Obviously, Lamar Jackson's always going to be a threat, and then I think they have like a good. They have there's some debate who's going to be the backup quarterback right now between Tyler Huntley and Josh Johnson. But I think regardless of who the backup quarterback is, who if one of those guys had to play because Lamar had to miss any time, I think with the talent that they have in the skill position groups, that those guys would be able to win them some games until Lamar could get back into the lineup. And then I like the depth they have at running back. J.K. Dobbins is back off the PUP list. They got Gus Edwards. Justice Hill looked good as a receiving back throughout the preseason. And now I don't think he's going to look like he's done in the past, but they do even have Melvin Gordon right now as their RB4. So they do got some quality depth in the running back room. And then you also got to factor in Patrick Ricard, who's like a fullback tight end. And he's always, obviously, he has his unique utilization within that offense. And then I love their wide receiver depth. It's just going to be a big factor in them staying healthy. Odell Beckham Jr., I love what Zay Flowers is going to bring to this offense this year. Rashad Bateman, I hope he can stay healthy and have that year 3 boom. And then they got Devin Duvernay and Nelson Aguilar behind them. So those are like a very good, solid 5 wide receivers they have on the roster entering the season. And then they got Mark Andrews, who's basically right there behind Travis Kelce as one of the best tight ends in the NFL. Isaiah Likely flashed some things, and I also liked what Charlie Kohler, their third tight end, has shown in this preseason. Now, their offensive line, you got to like that too. They got Ronnie Stanley, Tyler Lindenbaum, Kevin Zeitler, and Morgan Moses. Now, I'm going to probably butcher this rookie's name. Mayasala Oamava Lalua. I probably really butchered that. Now, that might be some question marks at their left guard, but I think those 4 other there's 3 veterans, and Linderbaum's in his 3rd year, but he's proven himself as a center in this league. So, I like I said, I think they got quality pieces and great pieces as skill position. You got Lamar Jackson, and I think a potentially really solid offensive line, and I would not be surprised if this offense is putting up points throughout the year. My 3rd favorite offense entering the year is actually the only NFC team that is on this list as far as my top 5 list, but it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, we saw what this offense was last year, right? Obviously, they got Jalen Hurts. It's going to be interesting to see who's the backup because, Marcus Mariota made sense as a fit to their offensive scheme. He kind of, matches that skill set of Jalen Hurts, but he's kind of been underwhelming in the preseason, and their rookie Tanner McKee has kind of pushed for that spot, and he's shown some good things. I actually liked what he was able to do against the Colts in that preseason game last night. And then you look at their running back depth. They got very quality running back depth. It's going to be like a running back by committee with DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Gainwell, Rashad Penny, and Boston Scott. All those guys have kind of a unique skill set that they are going to bring to that offense, and they can attack them a variety of ways. And all those guys can handle the workload if people had a missed time for injuries. Now, I do kind of have some worries about their wide receiver depth. Obviously, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are, basically, I think they're top 10 wide receivers. I would have to actually break it down to make sure who's in the top 10. But yeah, I think you could argue that those 2 receivers are top 10 wide receivers in the NFL. But they do got Quez Watkins, Olamide Zaccheaus. Those guys are very solid, like wide receiver 4s, kind of wide receiver 3s on the roster. But I do think there's a significant drop off if Brown and Smith had to miss any time. Obviously, Dallas Goedert is a top 5 to 10-ish. He's definitely top 10. You could argue him being a top 5 tight end in this league. So they got a very good got pass catchers between Brown, Smith, and Goddard. Now, Jack Stoll's a backup tight end. I do like some Dan Arnold just because of his ties to University of Wisconsin-Platteville. That's if anybody knows me from Wisconsin, they know that's a town area I grew up in. So I kind of got a liking of him. But what really pushes this offense is that offensive line. They arguably have the best offensive line in the NFL with Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelce, and Lane Johnson, all proven. They drafted Cam Jurgens to eventually replace Jason Kelce as a center, but obviously Jason Kelce hasn't retired, but they saw the departure of, oh man, the guy's dropping my name. He went and signed with the Steelers this offseason, but Cam Jurgens is going to slide into that right guard spot. But with how they've been able to develop offensive linemen in Philadelphia, I have no doubt that he's going to be able to be a plug right there in that right guard spot, and that offensive line play should not see a drop off this season. Moving into my second favorite offense, which I'm pretty excited to see what this offense is going to look like this year. It's going to be the Los Angeles Chargers, mainly because they got Kellen Mond coming from the Dallas Cowboys to be their offensive coordinator. They're going to push the ball down the field. They're going to try to put up as many points as they can in this offense. And the great thing about it is I think they have the playmakers within the offense, and they do have the offensive line as long as I can stay healthy to get the job done. Now, obviously, Justin Herbert's Justin Herbert. He's the type of player where I can see him taking the next step this year underneath Kellen Mond and pushing for a potential MVP type of year. And then Easton Stick is the backup. I don't necessarily think Easton Stick's like a proven backup, but he's been in this Los Angeles Chargers franchise for like what now 3 or 4 years. He's kind of like got that experience as a backup, but we just haven't seen him like if Herbert goes down, can he win him some games? So there is a slight concern if Herbert does get hurt, if there's going to be a significant drop off in their offensive performance. But then the way I can see Easton Stick succeeding if Herbert had to miss any time is the guys in those skill position groups. Obviously Austin Eckler is Austin Eckler, but I do like what Joshua Kelly brings as a runner, and I really liked what Isaiah Spiller brought when he entered the league. We didn't really get to get a look at him last year, obviously because it is Austin Eckler's backfield, but I could see him if they need to lean on him, if Eckler has to miss any time. I think Kelly and Spiller, that they can do like a little committee approach with those two if they had to miss Eckler, and they can get the job done. And then what I really like is they have a really deep wide receiver room. Obviously, you got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. They got their first round pick in Quentin Johnson. Joshua Palmer's entering year 3, and Jalen Guyton can stretch the field with his speed. And I like how they could utilize all those guys. I want to be surprised if we see some 4 wide receiver sets throughout the season, and that's why I think Justin Herbert can put up those MVP type of numbers. And then they do have some, I want to say, I'll just say a quality good 2 tight ends, Gerald Everett and Donald Palmer Jr. I think those guys are good enough to get the job done, and I think just because of what the wide receivers bring, those guys are going to see a lot of opportunities to get some pass catches in the middle of the field for that offense. And then I think this offensive line is going to be significantly improved this year with the return of Rashawn Slater. Don't forget that he was hurt, and I think he missed basically the whole year last year. But yeah, they got Rashawn Slater back at left tackle, Zion Johnson, Corey Lindsey, Jamari Sailor actually played very well at left tackle last year when Slater was out, and now he's going to be playing the right guard spot. And they got Trey Pipkins. It's a very solid unit, and as long as they can stay healthy, I see them giving Herbert plenty of time to get the ball to his playmakers throughout the year. Number 1's a pretty easy pickings, guys. I mean, it doesn't take a scientist to pick who's probably the top offense entering the year, and until somebody dethrones them or there's been a significant drop off in them, it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, you got Andy Reid, you got Patrick Mahomes, but what I do like though is if Mahomes, for whatever reason, had to miss time, Blaine Gabbert is a very solid backup quarterback in this league. He's shown before if he needs to come in and win a game or two, he can do that. So I don't see that having a major drop off, and it also helps when Andy Reid is your head coach. And then they have a deep backfield. They got obviously Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire still there, and their rookie Deneric Prince has been flashing throughout the preseason. And while they don't have a guy I would actually consider as a wide receiver 1, or even really they got some solid wide receiver 2s. Most of these guys are kind of like wide receiver 2s or 3s, but when you got Patrick Mahomes, he elevates you. He's the type of quarterback that elevates receivers better than they are. But with that being said, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, Justin Watson, the rookie Rashee Rice, and I like what Richie James could do. He did some really good things for that Giants offense last year. So that's 5 very solid wide receivers I think are going to contribute throughout the year. And it does help when you got Travis Kelce. He is their wide receiver 1. We all know how talented Travis Kelce is, but Noah Gray and Blake Bell are some very good, solid backups, and they do contribute as they have over the past couple of seasons. And now we'll have to see what the offensive line looks like. It's a new unit with a couple new tackles. Donovan Smith, he was a kind of a worry for the Bucs last year, so I wonder if he's going to be able to elevate his play, but it's the Chiefs, right? They'll figure it out and get at least Donovan Smith to play at least on par to give that blindside protection to Mahomes. But then when you got the middle of the offensive line as good as the Chiefs is with Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith, It's a very solid unit that's going to protect the middle of the pocket for Patrick Mahomes, and I think that can also help out the Smith on the left side of the line. And then Jawan Taylor was signed this offseason as a right tackle, very solid right tackle, so they're going to figure it out. Remember, there was questions when they drafted there wasn't questions. These guys were very good rookies entering the league, Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, but still there were some questions with it being a new offensive line. Eventually they gelled, and eventually they became one of the better units in the NFL. So yeah, that is my top 5 favorite offenses entering the NFL season. It's going to be interesting to see how this all unplays, but as always, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe, the follow button, depending on whatever platform you're watching this on. And then what I'll be doing next, I'm going to give you guys my top 5 favorite defenses. I am planning on doing that Monday. I got myself a little 4-day weekend, so I got some time to knock that out on Monday. So that's when you guys will see me next. You guys have any questions, comments, get in below this video. I'll make sure to get back to you. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.